Sort of break it down like this.
Gang Hang, Krakoa, X-Men. It's limping to an end. We were just talking about it in our warm-up here. And was it Mark?
Pre-game. It's called pre-game.
The pre-game.
Come on, Super Bowl Sunday.
Mark, you brought up a thought about how Orcus and all this probably, I'll bet at one point it was supposed to be a major crossover, and someone made the decision, no, let's just keep it in the X universe for some reason. And I agree. It has both handicapped the story a little bit in just sort of going, well, this is going on, but it's also kind of not going on. So if you don't want to pay attention to it, you don't have to, but it is going on, you know, like, great.
Yeah.
That's all fun and all.
And meanwhile, we've got this nine issue, super gory Wolverine issue to keep you guys entertained.
Exactly.
No,
right. Yeah.
We don't need 9 issues of that.
No.
But
oh God, no. I don't need 9 issues of the Sabretooth War. I mean,
Oh, this Sabretooth War?
well, let's come back to the Sabretooth War. Let's put a pin in that. Was there a major Marvel crossover this year that I forgot about? Like, I can't. Yeah, 2023. Was there one?
Oh, 2023?
Pretty
Dark
funny that
Web?
no one can remember.
Right?
Surely there must have been.
Was there?
when was
Dark
the Venom
Web?
crossover?
I mean, Dark Web didn't really.
Avengers versus
Oh, yeah, AXE.
Eternals. AXE. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, that was
Wow.
insanely forgettable. So that would have been like the beginning of.
Oh,
last
it wasn't.
year.
We loved it. Shut up.
That Judgment Day?
we raved about that event.
We liked it, sure, but here it is.
No.
Where we couldn't remember it, could we?
Well, I understand, but I think that's more of a you problem than a problem with the storyline.
You couldn't remember it either, pal.
No, I'm gonna defend Matt here because I agree. Yeah, at the time reading it, it was good, but it was ultimately forgettable.
Completely forgettable.
Well, I mean,
There's
what event
no
has what event
consequences.
truly does have lasting repercussions? Like,
Well,
can you
Civil
name?
War,
Secret
Yeah,
Wars.
Secret
Secret
Wars.
Invasion.
There's been
Wars.
plenty that do that, like the Eternals.
But
are,
there's also been many that don't.
I don't disagree.
We can all agree.
Civil War
that,
2.
Civil War 2, yeah.
Yeah,
Civil
Civil War 2.
But the Eternals are
Atlantis
gone.
attack.
The Eternals aren't even around. So,
Well, their book got canceled.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But okay, so I almost wonder if there was some kind of mandate this year. They were like, hey, everything in-house, smaller event stuff. We'll go with that.
No, Bloodhunt. It's coming. It's got 8
2023. I'm
tie-in
talking about
minis.
2023.
Oh my God.
Now we're in 2024. New year, right? Because like it just blows my mind that X-Men at the time was still a hit. They hadn't decided to end shit yet. They had this big Orcus story. So maybe it really was just like a quick reaction and they were like, no, we're done. Tie it up. Brevoort's coming in. You got a few months to fix it. Done.
I am excited for Bloodhunt,
God,
though. Bloodhunt
God,
looks
I
good
hate
'cause
I hate conspiracy, Matt.
Well, what else is it?
That they don't make this. That's not how they make decisions, Matt.
What else is it then?
Bloodhunt looks good.
Bloodhunt does look good. You're right.
I just read that those Miles issues where he teams up with Blade and he gets the cool Super 70s costume.
I didn't know that Miles was teaming up with Blade.
Bloodhunt does
Oh,
look
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's going to be fun, and I like
Matt and I
McKay.
just caught up on Blade for this week's extra, and it's a good book.
It's a good book. Bloodhunt looks like it's going to be fun. It's all
this.
this.
Miles.
Say what?
Get
Miles
caught up
Morales.
on Miles Morales because he Blade's taken Miles under his wing, and he's helping him. He's teaching him how to use his new Venom sword, and he gave him a cool
I forgot about the
vampire
Venom
fighting
sword.
costume.
I did forget about.
Forgot
I do
about-
forget about the Venom sword,
I
which
don't
is
know.
kind of dumb. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, but
and like Marvel's all in on swords again all of a sudden, and it's like, oh boy, how
yeah,
quick?
because X of Swords went over so well.
Right.
They're
How
like,
quick
let's give
before the-
everybody a sword.
The Black Knight's going to be here in no time, right? He's going to be a huge part of this. You got to, right? And like, okay, Bloodhunt looks like it's going to be fun. How do you feel about this many minis and tie-ins going into it, though?
It's too much. Well, what are we talking about? You're looking
8 minis.
They're going to be $4.99 to $5.99 a piece for 4 to 5 issues each. Like, this is going to cost $300 to read, and in the end, we're going to go, what year was Bloodhunt? When was that?
Yeah.
Was that 2024? I don't
Yeah.
even remember.
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
Now,
you know,
I will
like-
say that it is possible that they are short minis, like 2 issues, like the Gang War books have been. Or there, a lot of the Gang War mini tie-in minis are only 2 issues. Some of them are longer, but many of them are only 2.
You're right. If they're as good as the Luke Cage one, we're in for a treat.
But yeah, I mean, 8 separate tie-in series, not to mention the issues that tie in with the regular books and the one-shots.
20 Bloodhunt tie-ins.
It's too much stuff.
20. Jesus.
I feel like that's not. I feel like we've seen worse, but.
So we've got.
Yeah.
It's just when they come right out and say that there are going to be 8 miniseries.
9 miniseries.
That just feels like so many.
6
Didn't
one-shots.
DC just have a crossover
and then
that was like 8 million minis.
Well, that was
like
Night
28.
Terrors. All the rest of but none of the rest of the books came out. For the most part.
Yeah.
Like all the other books stopped, except for a few.
I almost feel like this whole like edict of making events into miniseries instead of putting them in the regular books is almost like they're solving a problem that didn't exist. It's like, oh well, everyone hates their main books getting co-opted by by events, so let's just make miniseries alongside, and then we can publish twice as many books.
Right. This is the
Or
case.
they think they're solving a problem, but they aren't really, because the books still get co-opted by events.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, because it's still going to be, 2-3 months of Spider-Man Bloodhunt, tie-ins, like, or, whatever, like fill in the blank of whatever event. It's like, yeah, you don't have to read, Spider-Man's not part 4 and part 5 is in a book you don't read, except you still have to deal with Spider-Man dealing with Secret Wars for 6 months or whatever.
Right.
Or worse yet, you end up with the thing that we're dealing with the Orcus and the fall of of X.
That's where,
which is you have this huge event that the other books don't seem to be addressing at all.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's where I will kind of defend Marvel and DC at least a little, because I can imagine that it's sort of an impossible, like it's impossible to please everybody.
Right.
And like, well, do you want people to pay attention to Krakoa or don't you? Spider-Man doesn't mention Krakoa. Spider-Man doesn't mention that Asgard's floating above New York City. But that's because that's an old argument Matt and I had many years ago,
right.
where Thor for a while Thor parked Asgard like above New York City. This was before the Broxton stuff.
Daredevil, the Fantastic Four didn't notice.
Yeah, and like it didn't get addressed in books like Spider-Man.
Nobody even brought it up.
Yeah, because they're all busy doing their own thing.
Well, I mean, in his defense, Daredevil is blind.
Fair. But like, couldn't he smell the mead or something? I don't know.
He was in the mix with Inferno. Don't forget that. Some of the greatest.
Yeah, he fought a
Daredevil
vacuum
issues.
cleaner.
That's true.
Yes.
So I think for me, the issue with it being a bigger story that doesn't include all the things is that it didn't have to. Like all this Orcus stuff didn't have to touch. It could have just been an X-Men story. But you've got like Uncanny Avengers. You've got Nightcrawler. It's like Nightcrawler's dressed as Spider-Man, but Spider-Man's not aware of what's going on. It's like, what are we doing? Although he is a little, he is aware.
Spider-Man's there.
Well, he does meet Spider-Man. But
he did. And then in the new X-Men issue, he and Miss Marvel are doing stuff with they're talking a lot about. They're wiping away that whole issue of the poisoning of all the plants. But it's like they're doing both, and I don't think they're exposing it to the greater universe, but not interfering with the other books. But I don't think it's satisfying.
I agree. That's what I'm saying.
And that's the problem. It's like they could have not done that. They could have they could have left it to its own, but they tied everything into. They wanted the Stark Sentinel, so it's like because Jerry Duggan's writing Iron Man, and it's like, oh, I want to do this. It's like, well, like you've got all these connected tissues from like Iron Man is not a singular guy. Like he's got all this baggage with like dozens of other characters, and you've got Captain America, and he's not a singular guy, and you've got Quicksilver in that story. Like, you're
Iron Man's phone rings, and it's Steve at least once a day, right? It has to be,
or it's the Fantastic Four,
right?
Or it's Spider-Man, or like he's in the mix where you could do Bloodhunt, and it's it's like what do they call it? Like the like it's Ghost Rider and Johnny Blaze. Like you could do a
like Midnight Suns,
Exactly.
Midnight Suns, Night Stalkers.
Yeah, exactly. You could do it in that kind of thing and pull in. There's the Miles issues. You could do, one or two tie-in issues. I get. I don't have a problem with that. It's here's another miniseries by creators that don't work on the books that you read.
Yes,
and they're.
But really, because you're a Miles Morales completist, do you feel like you have to buy it?
Right. Or you just like the character, like you just want to see, I think it would be fun to see that. But it's like 4 issues and they're so, like comics are so expensive. And it is like when I go to the store, I'm actually at a physical store. I try to get stuff and I got like those Raphael Grumpa Batman books and some other thing. And it was $18 for 3 comics. And it was like, I remember being like 12 or 13 and having $20 and walking out with 10 books and being like, awesome. Like I'm going to maximize this. But to walk out with 3 books is like a bummer.
Yeah.
And like selling stuff, a 30-page comic with ads for $5.99 is terrifying. Like, what are we doing? Like this isn't, there's no value here. And
and I think that's an argument that we're past the point of catering to comic shops by making digital comics the same price. It's look, that Band-Aid has been torn off, my guys. Everybody that wants to read digital comics is reading digital comics.
Yeah.
You cannot sell $4 digital comics.
No, $4 digital comics is stupid.
Yeah, that's pretty great, JD.
And even the creators came out and they were like, "Well, we sell, some of us sell our digital comics for X, and we're making money. So no, I don't buy it." Like I know Marvel and DC want to make that money, sure, and supposedly that helps the comic shops.
I'm not saying they need to be 99 cents, but like it. I get it. Like it's different to have a comic book by Jonathan Hickman and Steve McNiven or whomever.
Sure.
And like you can't sell that book for 99 cents. Probably, I get it.
Okay, I don't love this Miles costume.
It's fun as a one-off.
What's the
whatever?
What's the weird?
It's a cool little swinging 70s vampire hunter costume.
But it's got like a nipple cape. What's going on here?
No, it's a jacket. Look, he's got a high collar. It's
a jacket. Okay, I see now. It's like
like his Blade trench coat.
Yeah, it's the black on black made it look like the M was just maybe attached to his nipples and kind of flagged out from there.
Do we see him put it on? Because I can't. How does he get that on his body? Is it like
it does look like one piece? Yeah, but
Blade magics it onto him.
Oh well, there you go.
Okay,
Blade casts a spell and changes his costume.
Yeah, it's a one piece. It's crazy. That's a crazy, ridiculous. I mean, it's nice for it's fun, but like
it reads as a jacket, awesome. But the lack of like not being able to see the lines of the coat
it's freaking me out.
It makes it look weird.
It's freaking me out.
Actually, I wanted to comment on something real quick. Back to Uncanny Spider-Man. I feel like to a certain degree, Cy Spurrier is putting in these little in-jokes where he talks about how ridiculous everything that's happening is in that book.
Yeah.
There's scenes where Spider-Man talks about like keeps asking Kurt how he makes his tail change color for the costume. And there's this great scene where Dagger shows up and she keeps talking about how the Stark Sentinels can't figure out if she's a mutant or not.
That's good.
That's fun.
Clever.
That's fun.
Because neither can Marvel is the joke.
Yeah.
And I feel like Cy
she's a drug addict with powers. That's mine. Like I like that. If you take drugs, you might get powers, Matt. That's what I believed when I was a kid.
I've been
taking drugs ever since.
Mutants thing, I think, was calling the mutants thing was I think a knee-jerk course correction to like having them getting powers from narcotics. Like maybe we can't do that.
But I mean, Dagger straight up says to Kurt, she goes, "We've been X-adjacent for for a long time." And she says that she says it exactly like that. X-adjacent.
X-adjacent, yeah.
When did they retcon?
Yeah. Uncanny Spider-Man was a good little mini.
It was fun. I think Steve Orlando, Cy Spurrier, Thompson, like there are casualties of this Krakoa thing. And all these creators are like, hey, look, we tried to do our thing. And we got swept up in the editorial and had to, finish whatever this way. So here we are.
Because that Scarlet Witch book, holy crap.
It's so great. And you know what? It's great because they're just letting dude write it. They're like, Scarlet Witch, go ahead.
Yeah.
She's not involved in anything.
It's a shame that it's ending. I'm glad they're going to continue it with this Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver mini, but I wish that Scarlet Witch had done a little better. But I mean, I understand why it's.
I feel like the Scarlet Witch run is going to fall under the same category of like one thing I wanted to comment on from your Daredevil show is that Kelly Thompson Black Widow run.
Yeah. Totally.
You know, because you said in that episode, Matt, that Black Widow can't hold her own series. Mm-hmm. And I was like, except for once.
No, it's not that she can't. It's not that she can't sustain her own stories. It's that the books don't
sell.
Succeed.
People don't buy them.
Yeah,
and that's because like Mark Waid and Chris Somney, we used the Mark Waid and Chris Somney book as an example because before Kelly Thompson, Waid and Somney, one of the most celebrated Daredevil creative teams of all time, did a Black Widow ongoing series and it got canceled after 10 issues.
Although I will say Thompson's run better than that one. The art is very good, but Thompson's run was better than that Waid and Somney one. And that it had buzz. Creators loved it. People were like, this is fantastic. Yeah. Nobody bought it.
I mean, that Kelly Thompson run is great. And
17 issues, I think.
Something like
not
that.
Bad. That's really good. That's, better than I would have expected. I'm surprised to hear you say that it was 17.
That might be the longest running Black Widow series. I don't know.
It is the longest running Black Widow series. There's no maybe about it.
Yeah.
That's like you guys are gonna hear this in the Patreon extra, but like Matt makes a comment about how the legacy number on Blade
that
is
blew
like
my
29.
Mind. It was 30.
It's like, how can this possibly be?
They were like,
that
it was like
Blade has only had 29.
This is like Blade Volume 2 number
single issues.
Blade Volume 2 or Volume 1 for 2023, which don't call it Volume 1, you assholes. Blade 2023, number 4, Legacy 30. How is that possible? We've only had 30 Blade comics? How is that possible? And now Marvel...
And the answer is we haven't, because there have been Max Blade comics that I don't count. And Marvel math sometimes works,
of course,
outside of their favor.
Of course.
Sometimes they bend the rules and use Marvel math to get to a number. Sometimes they don't count some stuff.
I think Blade is a perfect example, though, of another Black Widow type character where, like, look, we all love Blade. Blade rules. Blade is a great character. Blade comics, they don't sell well. They just don't.
Which is weird to me.
He's good in a mini. They're doing this whole Bloodhunt thing to try and push him to the forefront because at sometime in the next 4 years, we may or may not have a Blade film, But
I think with Blade and Black Widow, without the right writer, they are swiftly the least interesting part of their own book. Because Blade is such a taciturn, badass character that he can almost be blank.
Yeah,
and so you have to have these amazing. So like the reason why the Black Widow book works so well is because every time Kelly Thompson writes a solo character, she turns it into a team.
Yes.
Brian just posted. Sorry, JD, I didn't mean to step on you there. But Brian just posted a screen grab from Marvel Unlimited. There was a Nathan Edmondson, Phil Noto Black Widow series that ran at least 18 issues as well, and I forgot all about that.
Jesus, yeah,
I forgot all about that run.
It went 20 issues, actually.
20.
There was an ad that popped
20.
up.
All right.
Which is crazy.
Back to that thought.
Another memorable series.
What we were just talking about, the Black Widow and the team and everything. That's what Kevin Smith just did with, his his Masters of the Universe show. He-Man is the least interesting part of the Masters of the Universe. He-Man, I get it.
So recenter it onto Tila.
Right. And not just Tila, everybody around He-Man is all of a sudden so kick-ass and interesting. Like the stuff they did with Man-at-Arms. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Like I love that character. And
I just finished Revolution this week.
I haven't finished it yet. I've started watching the new season. It's great. It's so fun.
Yeah.
But it's exactly what you're saying. They're not focusing on this character as the main character. And it's not because there's a flaw with the character or anything like that. The writer is smart enough to realize this character is best when they are around other interesting characters interacting with them. And I think we're going to talk about it in our extra, no spoilers here. Brian Hill, in his Blade book, is he's not going full team. He's sort of doing the opposite to point out an issue with the character that I really like. I really like what he's doing. Like, you're too cocky, bro. you're just too cocky. Like, and it's going to get you in trouble. You know? It's fun. But
yeah, I mean, that's kind of one of the hallmarks of Blade, despite what Jason Aaron might like you to believe, is that Blade is not a team player.
He's a jackass.
And he's look, here's a spoiler for you. Doctor Strange straight up calls him a jackass in one of the issues of Blade.
Great, too. He's like, you pretend to be stoic. You are not stoic. Steve Rogers is stoic. You are a jackass.
Yeah. And so, like, Blade uses people, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's not a team guy, but he uses people that can help him. Not maybe not like in kind of a gaslighty, like, abusive kind of way, but
I don't think he even realized
he'll kick him out there as bait.
Yeah. But he's so stuck in his own head and his mission that it's just like, I don't think those thoughts even pass through his head. Just mission, me, got to kill that thing. Going to cut that thing's head off. Here, watch this.
All right.
You know?
It's not even I don't know if it's really a mission so much when it's like your like a calling. It's like it's almost like higher than a mission, right? Like it's life's purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and it's, the Punisher called it a mission because he's a military guy, but it's also like that was his life's purpose, was like kill criminals.
Sure.
Blade's whole reason for being is cut the heads off vampires.
Yeah, it's a compulsion.
And he does a lot
He does
this
a
comic.
lot.
He cuts the heads off a lot of
It
vampires.
is gory. Some of them get cut in twain. Like, it is gory.
Yeah, sliced in twain. That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, not quite half, but definitely twain. Yeah.
You know what? I actually last night I read past the point excuse me. Last night I read past the point we were reviewing for the show, and so I got all caught up with issues 6 and 7. And in issue 6, he is pulling vampires apart with his bare hands, which is especially gross.
Yeah, well, Marvel's all in on the gore. Yeah. That's what the kids want. They want the blood and
anyway,
guts.
read Blade. It's good.
And if that's not, if you're
vampires
not,
are notoriously squishy.
If you're not filthy enough after that, you've got the Sabretooth War, which I would say put on a plastic suit before you read it. Like, get ready to go full.
It's like going to a Gallagher show. It's full
reading forensic. It's like go full Dexter. Like, put on your suit.
Don't be in the first 2 rows. It's a splash zone.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And we're gonna do 9 issues of this shit. Like, come on.
Whatever, it's fun. It's fun,
give me a break.
It's gonna be fine.
Oh, so when Garth Ennis and Jason Burrows do it at Avatar, you're like, this is disgusting. There's nothing here, But then when Wolverine is watching Sabretooth eat babies and pull people apart, you're like, it's fun. Come on.
First of all, that was many years ago that I voiced those concerns about Avatar. I'm a much older and more jaded human being now.
Fair enough. That's fair.
Second of all, Crossed is gross.
Crossed is gross. I don't disagree.
The difference between Crossed and Wolverine is that Crossed is depraved.
Well, sure.
Wolverine is not depraved.
But Wolverine's trying to be depraved
it's
right
gory.
Now.
It's certainly gory.
It's trying to be depraved.
No, depraved is like having on panel a dude tear his own genitals off.
Okay, so when Sabretooth and friends jump on his kid and eat his guts in front of people, you're like, nah, that's just Sabretooth and the multiversal Sabretooth.
Did you see any balls in anybody's mouth? No.
Well, I'm not saying they're going to show their hogs, but I mean, come on. It's trying to be depraved.
Man, I'm telling you, there's a line. Wolverine doesn't cross that line.
Yeah, well, as soon as Marvel...
He doesn't cross the depravity line.
As soon as Marvel thinks that nudity variants are going to sell, we're going to get them, all right? We're getting blood and gore variants, so get ready.
Show us Duckin's hog, you cowards.
Let's see it. Let's see it.
Let's bring back Marvel Max. I don't know why they ever canceled it. They just announced that they're doing a new Garth Ennis Nick Fury book.
What? Okay.
That's Punisher book, rather.
That's where I was going to go with this. Punisher versus Nick Fury in Vietnam. What is this? Is it a Max?
I mean, it's a period
book. Is it just Garth Ennis doing more of his?
It's certainly not set during. Like, Frank can't be a Vietnam veteran anymore in the real Marvel universe.
He's like 89.
So it's its own Blue Sky, Black Label, whatever you want to call it. Maybe they'll put Max on the cover.
It's Marvel wanting to put Garth Ennis' name on another comic. That's all that is. They said
that's what it is.
Garth, he's like, I don't know, Punisher versus Nick Fury. They're like, Sam, who do you want to work with? Jason Burrows. Great. Do whatever you want. It's literally going to be that. Yeah. And they're happy to print another thing that'll make them, get them a bump, and that's it. But Garth Ennis isn't like, guys, I got the story I got to tell.
Well, and this feeds right into like all the stuff they've been doing with their like Peter David and so are back on Captain Marvel doing this story that's like, okay, where is this in between a story?
I don't know if it's quite the same, but yeah.
I mean, what else is it?
I mean, I understand where your head's at, but I don't think it's quite the same.
And I would say like
It's, like
Storm and Gambit running around together, although they did just reference that
that's
crap.
not they come on now.
Referenced it.
Like
barf.
No. Garth Ennis coming back to tell a Punisher what if, whether it's kind of mature readers or not, that's not the same thing as the Genesville comic.
No, I mean, I guess not, but
yeah, I totally agree with you, Brian. Like Garth Ennis wasn't banging down Marvel's door saying, hey guys, can I do this Punisher story? Punisher or Marvel backed a truck up to Garth Ennis's door in Ireland and begged him to come do a Punisher book.
Sure.
Yeah, he's not pitching. He's not coming in and being like, he's not waiting in the waiting room to pitch a comic. They're showing up with a blank check.
He's out there doing stuff like Ribbon Queen. He's got his own stuff to worry about.
Well, he did, like in recent interviews talking about The Boys and the next season and all that. He's like, hey, I want to get back to doing more comics. I miss doing comics and stuff. And he's like, now with the success of The Boys,
he has kind of been absent from the zeitgeist.
He's decided. He's made a thought. I'm coming back to do comics, and we're seeing them. He's doing James Bond.
Oh, he's
doing Ribbon Queen.
He opened up his window and shouted into the.
I will not let you slander the good name of the Ribbon Queen. That book is.
It's a great.
I'm not slandering. I'm
book.
just saying he's got his own. He's working on his own project.
It's a great book.
Garth Ennis opened up the window of his apartment or his house and shouted into the Irish air.
You there, boy! I
want to go back to comics.
What day is it? Why, sir, it's new comic book day.
Declaring bankruptcy. Right.
New comic book day is still here.
So I haven't missed it yet.
Take this coin and go and buy the thickest omnibus you can. Sorry about that.
Sir, this is a quarter.
Let's switch gears. Yeah, you can't do that anymore. Brian just pointed that out. Switch gears. DC. Who read Batman 142? I'm not looking to review or like spoilers or anything here, but who read the Joker Year One? Anybody? We don't have to talk about it if you did.
Brian did.
I don't know what's going on.
I did. I don't know what they're doing.
I don't know what they're doing.
I didn't read it, but I saw a synopsis. Isn't that the three Jokers? They're actually trying to justify why that's actually a thing.
Maybe.
They're trying to explain where they came from.
Yeah.
And the first issue is very confusing.
Yes.
It's a split narrative between the past with like the aftermath of Batman fighting the Red Hood gang. Surprising to me that like they're just like really latching onto and saving that Scott Snyder Batman like 0 year stuff.
Big time. They reference it
from the new 52.
Yeah. It's
I mean, whatever. It's fine. It
was
but
fine.
It's a split narrative between the aftermath of that after the Joker has taken his dive into the chemicals, and then a future story with old Batman, and the Joker has like something has happened, and everybody on Earth has been infected with some sort of Joker virus, and that's drawn by Andrea Sorrentino. By the way, some of the most gorgeous Andrea Sorrentino art I think I've ever seen.
It's incredible. It's incredible, but it also feels like maybe this should have been two stories. I don't know. Like it'll depend on how they dovetail. I guess. Yeah, I suppose. I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure there is, there are dozens of thematic ways they could make the two connect, but they didn't mention that story part in the original announcement.
No, not at all.
No,
that's the future part. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I'm reading it and I get to like very much not Giuseppe Camicoli, I was like, what am I looking at here? Like, what is this? And then, because it's not photorealistic, but it's way more realistic than Camicoli, who's like a classic kind of
who I love
superhero cartoonist. He's great,
love
and they look great. But you turn the page and it's like
it's a switch.
Stark.
It's a jarring. If you don't expect it, it's a jarring.
It's a switch.
And some of it's really beautiful, and some of it's like that might be the ugliest thing I've ever seen. But in that grotesque, like it's a style choice, and I get it, and it works. But it's like
on purpose.
Yeah, it's like that is very ugly. Like that is like like it's, or I should say, it's grotesque. Right?
Yes,
not
grotesque. It's not ugly. It's grotesque.
Bad. Yeah, it's grotesque. So and then it's like all of a sudden back to like a wet Joker. It's like, what is going on? What is so? I think, and luckily it's only like 3 issues and it's bi-weekly. So in a month we're going to know what's up, and I appreciate that. But it's not a 9-part.
I
murder
think
of
this leads into another
but,
big Joker story, though. That's the thing. I think this is going to lead into a big Joker.
Well, they haven't announced anything.
They haven't announced it, but okay. We talked recently about how we're over the Joker. The Joker, there was too much Joker. You've just taken it too far. There's too much. And in my mind, the only thing that can make me even more exhausted with the Joker as a character is 3 of them and multiversal bullshit. And I like Chip Zdarski.
I don't know that they're from the multiverse is the thing.
Then what are they? What are they? Are they all, they're just 3. Jeff Johns established that one of them was from his like Watchmen world.
No, they didn't. No, he didn't.
Yeah, the guy lived there and he wasn't the Joker yet. And the Joker came to him.
No, that's not right.
Then I misunderstood what was going on because there was definitely a Joker character that was there. But he was not the Joker. He was a god.
There was no joke. One of the 3 Jokers is not from the Watchmen timeline. No.
Okay, then I don't know what happened there, and I'm even more exhausted.
It's like they are 3 different interpretations of the Joker to represent 3 of his incarnations from comics past, where he was a gangster originally. He was like a crime boss. He was just a crime boss with a theme. And then there was the 80s like laughing clown with the flower and the the laughing fish. And then there was the later like Killing Joke and Forward, where he was homicidal and he was just like murdering scores of people and eventually cutting his own face off and that kind of thing. And so it's 3 different incarnations of Joker that we have seen in the past, that aren't all necessarily like, they're not part of the canon anymore, right? Like the gangster Joker is not really in the canon anymore.
Sure. But they're all here.
Are they not just Earth 1, Earth 2, or is it more complicated than that?
I don't think they haven't come out and said it.
I don't know.
They haven't actually said. But it was something that we do definitely see in Batman 140. Is it 142 or 143?
142. 143.
The current issue of Batman.
Next week.
One thing we see is that in the past scene, we see from like one of the Joker's perspectives, him getting up off of the shore.
Right.
Outside of Ace Chemicals. They've crawled to shore from the pond of acid or whatever. And you see the other Jokers walking away. So they're all right there at the moment of the Joker's origin. Now, I think that it does. I think that it does have something to do with. They mentioned the red mask,
right?
Which was the incarnation of the Joker from that Chip Zdarsky story, where Batman gets trapped in that alternate world where he never became Batman. And the Joker the Joker wasn't the Joker. He was the red mask, and he was like controlling society or whatever it was. I don't even remember. And so they say something to the effect in this issue about like something the red mask did created these 3 Jokers. That's all we know so far.
So I'm not going to say that I think Chip Zdarsky's Batman is bad, but I will say,
I'll say it.
I can't put my finger on it. I can't put my finger on what I don't like about it, because there's things that happen that I go, that's great. Chip, you wrote the hell out of that. That's a great scene. This art kicks ass. But like the overriding ideas behind his stories irk me.
Yeah. Right. Like I'll say that it's bad. Not that it's not. It's written competently because Chip Zdarsky is a good writer, but on balance, like the ideas of this run of Batman are terrible fits for Batman.
It's bizarre. Brian,
he's doing all of these crazy things, like alternate universe stuff, fighting a giant killer robot. Like, it's all stuff that it's very un-Batman like.
Brian, speak to this.
And so I would never recommend this as a Batman run to anyone.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Joe. I think we have to see what the result is. You know, where is this all going? And because the idea of like safe makes so much sense. You know, it's
yes.
You know, it's a backup plan that the man who plans for everything built, that if anything happens to him, it will take over. You know, if he goes too far, it's going to do what it needs to do. And then, you know, some dopey mistake about the Penguin being dead, and all of a sudden it activates because, you know, Batman killed Penguin, so now I have to finish him off. And it's like, oh no, I didn't do anything, you know. And he's got to figure it out.
Not only did Batman not do it, but Penguin is not dead.
Yeah,
right. And
both
so,
of these things are
you know,
true.
there's no off switch. And so the like watching him try to figure out how to stop that. You watch Tim try to figure out how to stop it, and that's this is what you get for all your nonsense Batman story. You know, like it's like the other side of the Tower of Babel, right? It's like Batman reaping his own, like, this is the consequences to your insane actions.
And
like,
I agree
you're
with
in a lot
that.
of trouble.
Right. I agree with what you're saying.
Like, realities of his ability aside, it makes total sense to me that Batman would also make a fail-safe replacement that could kick Superman's ass.
Right.
Because
yeah.
But can Batman build a killer robot capable of beating Superman? I don't think so, but hey, I don't write Batman,
regardless
so
of that, I agree. That's kind of silly. But the problem with it is now the robot knocks him into another reality? Like,
so
why do we have to go
the fail-safe story, which was Chip's first story. The fail-safe story on its own is good.
It's good, and it looked great.
Everything that has followed has just been a mounting series of like, no.
Like, why?
No.
Why?
So he keeps doubling down and doubling down and doubling down.
The other Earth, like, luckily, I think shipped twice as fast, so it was like over quickly. And then you get the, you know, I want to see like that issue where I think it's Batman 900 or whatever, you know, I think that's the numbering. And then, you know, when we get like the bat shark repellent and all that stuff, like really well done, really interesting, but now what? Like, where is this going?
Yeah.
What is, and I don't know. I'm not as cynical about it where, you know, I usually am. Cause I'm a, you know, kind of a,
You're a resident cynic, Brian. Come on.
I know. Listen,
he's a realist.
You know how hard it is to listen to all the Krakoa stuff and be like, yeah, I told you so, guys. I knew this wasn't going anywhere. But I told you that 3 years ago. But anyways, I'm nervous. Like I'm cautious. Like every issue, I'm like, all right, what are we doing? And now we've got this Joker story, and I'm like, all right, like,
yeah,
like you know, I didn't love the 0 year stuff because I don't think that there's such good early Batman stuff to kind of shoehorn that in. I didn't think that was really
agreed.
I don't know. I don't love Scott Snyder's run. I don't think it's great. And
I think by the end it was.
I thought it started strong. I thought it started very strong. Yeah.
See, the first arc is great, and then once they got like, you know, a hard on for the Court of Owls, it was like 1,000 issues of the Court of Owls.
And by the time we got to robot bunnies, robot bunny suits, we were
yeah, robot bunny suit kind of worked for me. And
off the rails.
The last arc is great, but it's like it takes so long to get there, and I was very happy that he was gone because I don't want any more of that. And then he wrote Justice League that no one read, so that's great.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'm nervous about. I'm hoping that Chip does something here, but I don't know that he's going to. And I kind of ultimately felt that way about his Daredevil run, where, you know, I know it's not his fault. The book got rebooted with a new #1 because that's the way Marvel does things, but I don't think it needed it. And I didn't think it really deserved it. And you get like, it
congratulations on making it 36 issues. Here's your new #1.
Right.
Like, that's not,
there's a lot of treading water, and there's a lot of things in that. And so I know we've seen him kind of like get swept up in the churn of things. And I'm, you know, this could just be a placeholder for, I hope the next writer's good. Like, Yeah.
Go ahead, Ryan. No, finish your thought.
No, I don't want another James Tynion or another Tom King. I want like someone who gives, but maybe it's just me at this point. Maybe it's I'm never.
I don't think it's just you.
I don't think I'm going to be happy, but I'm optimistic.
I really enjoy Chip Zdarski as a writer in general, but I wonder sometimes if maybe he gets caught up in this idea that he has to constantly escalate.
Yes.
Right. And it's like, well, okay, right out of the gate, you had Batman fight a robot that was basically unbeatable.
And don't forget to cut his hand off.
Right.
Cut his hand off. Was that in?
That was in the failsafe story.
Did failsafe cut his hand off?
I believe so.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
It was in that alternate universe.
No, it was in the alternate.
You're right.
It was in the alternate.
After
universe.
failsafe punched him into the alternate universe, he got his hand cut off.
Don't look at it too hard. But you came out of the gate too hot. You had Batman not only fight but create a robot that could kill every superhero. And I mean, now, look. So you've had to escalate. It's like, well, okay, I guess now he's in an alternate universe where the ultimate villain is his worst enemy, who is a hero, and he has none of his resources. And now it's like, okay, well, now the enemy is yourself, but it's a version of yourself that's crazy that you created. And this version of yourself that you created in your own mind as another failsafe in terms of mental attack instead of whatever, has absorbed the knowledge of the entire multiverse of alternate Zur-En-Arr Batman or whatever the fuck it was that happened. And it's like, Chip, maybe just have him fight the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
Once, or Clayface is cool.
Yeah.
Let's have a Clayface story.
Why not?
What's Man-Bat up to? What are we doing?
Well, and keep in mind.
And Daredevil was the same, though, because it was like, oh, shit. 6 issues in, Daredevil accidentally kills a guy.
That was issue 1.
We sent him to.
That was issue 1.
Right.
Yeah.
That was issue 1.
And so, problem at the big 2 with all the street level characters, though. I mean, when was the last time Spider-Man just swung through the city beating up the Rhino? Right. It's just like you guys are. What you've done is set yourself up for like mutually assured self-destruction. You cannot sustain a pace where it's like it's the Hickman problem. Like, as much as many of us liked the Krakoa stuff, Brian from the start was very right to point out that like it's too much. It's too far.
Yeah.
How do you walk it back in a satisfying way that isn't Professor X smothering Moira as a baby? And resetting the timeline, which we know is not going to happen.
And time burps in one way or another. Smother the baby.
Yeah, at this point, I'm like, go ahead.
Why not?
She's proven that she's too dangerous to live, so go ahead.
We saw Wolverine's kid wiener get eaten on panel. I mean, like, why not? Let's do it.
Hey, to come back to
for those of you coming in late, there were no actual wieners getting eaten in Wolverine.
But it got devoured, Joe. It absolutely got devoured. It was implied.
It's a delicacy.
Did they have that in the credits at the end? No wieners were devoured in the making of this comic?
It's like the message from the ASPCA.
Hey, Matt, to come back to your question, though, about the Joker Year 1 stuff.
Yeah.
Chip Zdarsky did an interview with David Harper from Sketched recently.
Okay.
And he talked about this little, kind of aside. And he explained it basically as he was trying to buy time for Jorge Jimenez to be able to stay on the book as the full-time writer. And he said he had pitched it to editorial thinking he could buy 3 months.
This was the alternate universe thing?
No, this is what's going on now.
No, this is the Joker Year 1 stuff.
The Joker Year 1 thing.
It would be in different, time periods, and so different artists would make sense.
Sure.
And he said the editorial came back and said, well, we can do this if we do it like basically weekly. And so he said, I wrote 90 pages of comics hoping to buy him 3 months, and I bought him 3 weeks.
Oof.
Or 30 days or something like that. So it may be that this is tied in kind of a forced way.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, if we get a little aside story and then we get Jorge Jimenez back, on every issue interior, I'll take it.
Look, he's great. And I don't disagree. I think one of the problems with this as well, like I really like what Ram V is doing in Detective, but we've already got this like massive, mind-bending, weird Batman story going on over there, and I think Ram V is doing it better, quite honestly, because a lot of it takes place in his psyche or wherever.
Yeah, but that's not the same thing. That's
not
just
the same
like a
thing, but what I'm saying
psycho
is,
trip kind of.
I agree, but what I'm saying is, at least that takes place there, where it's not directly affecting Batman as a character so much as it is in Chip Zdarski's real world, where he got his hand cut off, where he's been to other universes, where he got 3 Jokers.
Yeah, now he's got a hand that farts smoke.
Yeah, like
confirmed, by the way, the hand is still around.
The hand is still around.
I saw it fart smoke just a couple issues ago.
Yeah, it's still doing its thing.
Frank says he has thoughts. I don't know what we were talking about when he posted that, but Frank, let us have it.
You talking about all this weirdness in comics, and my thoughts are this: back in the 90s, all the comics got super extreme, right? And that's the whole direction that comics went. Now it seems like comics are getting super weird and super multiversal. And when comics, you want to see, to me, you want to attract the next generation of comic book lovers and readers and kids. You want to get kids on board. You're not going to get kids on board with this stuff.
No.
You're going to wind up in 10 years from now, you're going to wind up with like a bunch of angry 20-year-olds screaming about how, Batman should be able to beat everybody up in the DC universe and then go into the Marvel universe because it's that's the kind of thing.
Frank got a little bit of extra New York in his voice when he did that just now.
Yeah, that's my argumentative.
Hey, I think Batman should be able to kick Superman's ass.
Hey, listen to me.
He's about to get paid.
No, Frank.
Batman is the smartest guy. The Batman could beat up Reed Richards.
All right. So Frank, you're not.
Those kids are on Twitter right now.
Yes,
they are on Twitter right now.
That's what this is leading to.
But Frank, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It happens in it's like you say, Frank. It happens in cycles.
Yes,
it's like when it's like after Secret Invasion, where everything was like the villains are in charge, so everything was like outlaw superheroes, and then it was everything's back to basics. The heroes are heroes again, and everybody's happy, and the stories are brighter. And now everything's the multiverse. Wooly Toots posted a picture of he's reading the graphic novel, the trade paperback of the first volume of Nowhere Men, which was a 2013 kind of series that came out in the aftermath of Hickman's Manhattan projects, where everybody and their kid's sister wanted to write a comic book about like crazy super scientists. And everything looked Hickman designed, right? Like, look, the books are good. A lot of the books are good, but that's how it was. It's like everything's got to be like this popular thing.
The cartoonist kayfabe guys were just talking about this in the frame of Rob Liefeld, and in the sense of like, he's a joke, right, to a lot of people. He just retired on Deadpool. Give me a goddamn break. But regardless of like in the 90s, at that time, they were like, well, look what was going on. Comics were being written for 30 and 40-year-olds, and kids weren't reading them. And so you get this Youngblood type stories, these Wildcats type stories when they start, where it's just like, it looks badass and you don't have to think about it. And kids came and bought millions of copies of it. They went, yeah. And not just that, they could mimic his art. People couldn't sit down and mimic John Byrne's Superman art and be like, oh, fuck, I could be a comic artist. But you could draw Rob Liefeld's
You could draw something similar to what Rob was doing.
And that's why ended up a whole school of guys that look just like him, and we don't have a whole school of guys that look like John Byrne,
Well, I mean, I don't want to split hairs, but like we did have a whole school of guys that looked like John Byrne, but they weren't like mimicking John Byrne. No, they were doing a classic superhero square jawed style.
Right. They were artists.
Whereas in the 90s, it was like, I wanted to look like Rob.
Right.
I wanted to have a lot of hash marks. I want the feet to be weird. I want the muscles to be completely irresponsible. Every gun looks like a donut.
But Frank, you're right. They're writing comics for adults again, is what they're doing.
Who drew like John Byrne, right? He never got into comics. He drew like John Byrne. I was like, dude, you draw like John Byrne, and he's like, no, I don't. Like he didn't want to, go there, right? But he did. He drew like John Byrne, and I'm like, at the time I wasn't like really super into John Byrne because his current run of Fantastic Four was like the end of his Marvel tenure, and he was just like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna leave like 20 pages blank."
Right? Yeah, it's Snowbird. It's Sass Snowbird fighting a Yeti in the blizzard or whatever that
So it was like
that famous Alpha Flight joke is.
Yeah, he was pissed at Marvel and taking shortcuts left and right, and so I was like, I was not on Team Byrne, but going back and looking at those X-Men and looking at those, Fantastic Four and looking at, I can't remember what other comics I can remember seeing were fantastic. Seeing him on Superman, Man of Steel was amazing.
Sure.
I
John
grew
Byrne, Superman so much.
Yeah, and I just grew this like admiration for John Byrne. But the other thing I was going to say was I buy my kids like I'll go in the comic shop and I'll buy those dollar reprints of like old comics for them.
Yeah.
Right. Or I'll buy I just bought a 6-issue digest of the Incredible Hulk. So when my son says, "Hey Dad, why is the Hulk this way?" and I'm like, "Here, read about it," and so he can read about it. He's like, "Oh, I don't want to read it," but he'll get around
I want to
to it.
Google it, Dad.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't Google anything, but he's just
I don't know what the kids are into, Frank.
I do.
Do kids still even use the internet these days?
I know what the kids are into. They're reading
Roblox, man.
phone books
Put
of
it
manga.
on Roblox. They'll do it.
They are reading phone books of manga. That's what they're doing.
Is this a Fortnite?
Kind of.
Yeah, no, I know. Roblox is
okay, all right.
Yeah.
No, that was a joke. Quick aside. So Disney spent $1 billion to buy Fortnite, essentially.
Oh God.
They bought Epic Games, which means they now own Fortnite. And I might be getting some of the details wrong, but and they are creating this like online metaverse, not like Meta, like the company Meta, but like an insane amalgamate, like the Kingdom Heartsification of everything they own.
Oh God.
Right. And that's exciting too. Like, there's two kinds of people. There's people that are like,
it's exciting to me actually.
Sure. Like there's the people that are like super excited and kids and things like that. And then there are the people that are like, corporations are a mistake that must be stopped at any cost. Because you cannot have corporations owning all of popular culture. It's dangerous and bad.
So here's the quote.
That is true.
In addition,
thank you, Jim. They bought a $1.5 billion stake in Epic Games, which means they can now like Fortnite the shit out of their.
But they're not crushing that much stuff into it. It's just going to be characters and stories from Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, Avatar, and more. Oh my God!
Isn't that already happening with Fortnite? There's like all these.
I think that stuff was like a precursor, Damon, for sure. Where it was like, get the Thanos or like fight Thanos in this season of Fortnite or whatever the hell it was. But
I'm telling you right now, the Disney nerd in me and the Disney nerd and everybody else that's super into Disney is going to be like, cool. I can go on like an online version of Disney and walk around the parks. I'll do it. I'm telling you, because it's because
it's like Second Life. It's like Second Life for slightly more stable adults.
I mean, look, I will
slightly more.
I'm not proud of it, but I totally do it.
Yeah, but I did see they had like a giant concert with Eminem in there, so you can jump in.
Yeah,
it's weird.
It's like after I'm done like getting drunk with Wreck-It Ralph, I can go to ESPN World and watch the football game. Like what? What are we doing?
Yeah, it's like Trevor said in the chat that Disney is building the Wreck-It Ralph, the version of the world from Wreck-It Ralph breaks the internet.
Pretty much.
That's 100% what's going on.
Yeah.
What they're not going to be able to fix, though, and this is the most upsetting thing to me about Fortnite, is the fact that my son has grown out of calling it Forknight. If they can bring that back in this new Disney version, that's what I want.
I mean, yeah. You know what? Like, where's the Forknight parody?
Is this going to be violent? Is this going to be like Fortnite? Everybody's running around shooting each other in the head?
Well, I mean, not like in the Disney park, but
it sounds like they're creating Ready Player None.
Yeah,
exactly.
Pretty much.
If we can't give Mulan a chain gun and have her mow down the 7 dwarfs,
I don't care. Yeah,
I think it's more like it is very similar to like the Wreck-It Ralph, like inside the arcade cabinet, where it's like you walk in and it's like You got to go through this door to go to Cubert Land.
Yeah.
You know, like I think it's like a hub where like you can wander over here and play Fortnite, or you can wander over here and walk through a virtual version of Epcot.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
But Ian's right. If a 25-year-old man can't use his Milan with chain gun to mow me down and then put his balls on my corpse over and over and over again, I'm not interested. You know, just not interested.
And I'm not interested in going to Epcot if I can't get drunk at the beer garden.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what,
You can.
you don't want to be.
Look, and
You do
I'll
not
be
want to be
honest with you.
sober at Disney World. I've been there. It sucks.
I will probably never get to actually go
Shut up,
visit
Matt.
Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, but I'd go through it virtually. Like I'd do a virtual thing of Star
It
Wars
was
Galaxy's
fun, by
Edge.
the way. Just as somebody who has experienced it, I will admit it was.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt. But I mean, there's a lot of
Galaxy's
logistical reasons. The logistical reasons why I'll probably never get there. But yeah, I would in a heartbeat like go through online and like I'm in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
You know. And
is
the only
pretty cool.
bummer is I won't be able to build my own lightsaber, or I won't be able to build my own.
Oh, I'm sure
lightsaber
they'll have
and
a
take-
way.
Technically, you might though.
They'll have an
You might.
NFT. They'll have an
You'll be able to
NFT
make
you can build, Joe.
I'll have an NFT, an NFT of my lightsaber.
They probably have a section where you could make it and they mail it to you, like the physical copy.
Oh, I guarantee
think they would
Damon,
3D
don't
print it.
even
If there's money to be made there, yeah,
don't open that dark door.
absolutely.
Don't open that dark door. That's I don't need that kind of voodoo in my life.
I don't know.
Oh boy, a hard stop. Sorry, but I drug everything to a halt, bringing up the Disney thing. I am sorry.
No. It's kind of. I'm just reading through it, and it's kind of terrifying. At the, like I don't know.
Yeah, but it is. It's like a Ready Player None, where everything is like homogenized one space. Like, and I understand the appeal of it, but also it's like you guys
from a moral point,
we gotta
down, you're like, oh, God.
we gotta stop consolidating everything under the control of like 3 corporations. It's very bad.
Yeah,
It will be
literally
very bad for us.
no thought has to go into this. None. You don't have to write anything.
Yeah.
Nothing.
This ironically, this reminds me of Cyberpunk, where there's like 3 corporations like running everything.
Yeah.
It's
Like Snow Crash.
to guns.
Yeah.
Big Snow Crash is a perfect example. Yes.
I read Big Game this week.
Yeah, big game. Yeah. Everything was smashed into one in big game. That is for sure. Kind of a weird way to like. I didn't expect it to wrap up the way it did, but yeah, I mean, whatever.
Fair enough.
I liked it. I probably liked it because my favorite Miller property turned out to be like the literal Deus Ex Machina. So,
remind me.
The Magic Order. They finally
The Magic Order. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And you know what? And we talked about that, JD, leading all the way up to big game. We were like, how does the Magic Order let this exist? If this all is happening in the same universe, how does the Magic Order let this stuff go on? And turns out they don't.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, they don't.
It got to a point where they said, nope, we're not dealing with that anymore. So.
Yeah, and that's what I actually did really like that, because the outcast, right? The shady little daughter, the redheaded stepchild of the Magic Order is now in charge of the Magic Order. Surprise, surprise. We've all read stories like that. And she's the one that decides that following the rules is for suckers.
Yeah.
And she saves the world. So yeah.
No, we don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was fun.
It was a good mini. It was fun.
That loophole that they found to bring her in was that one weird alien tech guy called himself a wizard.
Yes, yeah, that was great. And you know what? Look, man, I didn't love Kick-Ass. Like, I don't love Kick-Ass. I think it's very cynical, the whole idea about the nerd thinking he can become a superhero and getting his ass kicked nonstop. I don't really love that. But I have to admit that I smiled at the end when they made Kick-Ass a member of the Ambassadors. I was like, okay, you know what? Yeah, he deserves it. All right.
All right, guys. I gotta jump out of here.
Spoilers for big game. Sorry, everybody.
I got stuff I gotta do today to get ready for Super Bowl garbage tomorrow. So hey, good times, super fun. Gang hang. We'll see you next week. This week we are back to new comics. There's plenty to talk about. I appreciate the help with Batman 142 because after I read it, I was like, oh my God, I have to summarize my thoughts and review this. So I appreciate that help. Thank you. But
now you know.
Feel free to hang as long as you want. I get out. See you kids.
Hey guys.